Hi. I guess we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to C's Art Week. I'm Madison. I'm a senior at Barnard studying theater and history. I'm also a GMT tech, so I work with Ali and Lana down in the Glicker-Milstein Theater. Before we begin, I just would like to welcome you all and tell you a little bit about what else we have offered this week. And you can check us out on our Instagram with all of the updates as to other events. Tomorrow, we have a contortion workshop co-sponsored by the Circus Collective. Other things include an arts trivia with prizes, so definitely check everything out if you're interested. So just to plug that before we get started, I hope that's okay.
No, I want to join. Can I take contortionist? That sounds awesome.
Oh yeah, the Circus Collective is great. I'm working with them on a production this semester, but they're really cool performers. So before we begin, I would love to introduce you both just very quickly to our audience and then open it up for you two to introduce yourselves, of course. So first we have Michael Callahan, a performer and choreographer here in New York City. Currently, Michael is performing on Broadway in Aladdin and serves as a swing and the dance supervisor for the Aladdin Mexico City production. Other credits include the first national tour and Broadway productions of Cinderella and a regional production of Guys and Dolls, where he also served as dance captain. So a lot of cool credits there. And then we also have Michelle West, who's a performer and fitness coach here in New York. Michelle is currently in Tina, the Tina Turner musical, as a swing. Some of her other credits include the first national tour of Aladdin as well, Memphis, the musical, the national tour, and starred as Rosalia in West Side Story at Carnegie Hall. So I'm going to give you guys a round of applause because we can't see other people, but woohoo, I'm sure they're doing this too. So thank you guys so much for being with us here today. If you guys would love to introduce yourselves, we would love to hear you talk about yourselves from your point of view instead of my short little bio. So whoever would like to start, please feel free.
Take it away, Michelle.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Well, yes, I'm a performer here in New York City. Well, I live in New Jersey, but I commute into the city. I am a swing on Broadway right now at Tina, the Tina Turner musical. It's a very interesting job, so to speak. Learning how to be a swing for the first time is fun and hard at the same time. But I've actually come to pretty enjoy it, enjoy my job, and I've been able to do my job and also have my fitness business on the side, which has been great. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. And I don't know. I'm from Philadelphia. Hey, y'all. Graduated from Temple University with my BFA in dance. And Callahan and I go way back.
We do. Some West Side life back in the day. Yeah. May I go?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. No, so Michelle. Yeah, Michelle's got creds. Like I gotta know when she wants to stop. So. Yeah, my name's Michael Callahan. I'm a performer and choreographer here in the city. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. That's where I grew up. I went to a performing arts high school there, and then I got my BFA in musical theater at Elon University in North Carolina. And yeah, then I moved to the city, and I've been a performer and like dance captain, and have kind of always wanted to be able to do choreography full time. And I'm still like on the track trying to do that. So the majority of the jobs that I'm very lucky to take are dance captain, like associate jobs right now. And I'm really loving that life. It's awesome. And it's really cool to like slowly getting toward choreography full time.
Wonderful. Before we also jump in, I think for people that don't know, would either of you like to define like what a swing is? Because Michelle, you said that you're new to this job and trying to figure that out. So I would love to hear from your perspective what that means, and dance captain as well.
Yeah,
sure. Okay, I'll talk about swing life then, because honestly, dance captain kind of goes with swing as well, so he can elaborate a little bit more than what I can. But as far as swinging a show, so basically a swing is a offstage character or offstage cast member that fills in for a performer who is out of their track. So whether it be for a vacation, or maybe they had an injury for the moment, or they're on a vacation or a leave, then the swing will go in on that track. Now, depending on what your role is in the show, you will cover a certain amount of tracks. So for me, as Tina Turner, I cover 7 tracks in the show. There's 4 ICATs, there's 3 female ensemble, and then there's 1 featured ensemble that also is an ICAT as well. So I do 7 tracks as one of the female or female identifying characters. And there are 4 other swings in my show, 2 female, 2 male. And what's also actually interesting about my show too is that our swings are race specific, because we are telling a race specific story with Tina Turner. My tracks are specific to my to the African American characters, and we have also Caucasian or white characters who swing for the white characters. You won't see really that interchange happen, so that's kind of why Tina has a little more swings than what you would usually see in another show. So I think there's 6 of us all together swings. So that's what I do, and yeah. I've been on for 6 tracks so far, so I only got 1 more left to do. So it's really fun, and it's exciting to be able to have that moment where you're like, oh my gosh, I can do somebody else's role. Like, you can just go in and your brain just kind of activates, and it's been awesome to be able to activate this swing brain of like not only knowing the dance track and knowing where they go, but also knowing their vocal parts and vocal lines. I know in Tina specifically, when you go on as an ICAT, there's 3 parts, and there's 3-part harmony. And when that 1-part harmony is out, you got to know that harmony. So I got to know all 3 parts, all 3 things. I got to know. It's like another part of my brain that I'm challenging, but it's been good. I feel like I've been a really good, I'm really good ensemble girl, and I pick up choreography pretty quickly, and I pick up harmonies pretty quickly. So it's kind of like, oh, it kind of fits from what I do.
And just for the audience, an ICAT is one of Ike Turner's singers, just so they all know.
Yes, they are. The ICATs are Tina Turner's background singers.
Oh no, I'm frozen. Oh no. Can you guys see me or hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you the whole time.
Great. Okay, I'm unfrozen. So an ICAT is one of Tina Turner's background singers.
Yes.
Just to clarify.
Yep.
Great. Well, that's super interesting that congratulations on getting to do almost all 7 already. That's super cool.
6 out of 7. Yes.
6 out of 7. We're close.
Over at Aladdin Land, and just one other thing to specify about a swing, just so everyone knows, the term swing is used for someone who covers an ensemble member, while the term understudy is for someone who covers a principal character. So a lot of times, like, if Aladdin is out, the understudy for Aladdin will go on for Aladdin, and I'll go on for the ensemble guy that's playing Aladdin. So, it's all kinds of movement that happens that determines when we go on. I cover the 12 male identifying men in Aladdin. And I am also an understudy for Iago. But as dance captain, my job basically is to maintain the dance quality of the show. So a lot of people, like my parents who are not theater people are like, so you choreographed it, Michael? I'm like, no, I did not choreograph this show. My job is that when the choreographer, Casey Nicolau, is gone, working on other projects, I'm there to be like, hey, is everybody doing the right step? Is everybody, doing the right spacing? And as new swings and new ensemble members and new principals join the show, my job is to teach it to them so that they can very seamlessly, join the rest of the company. Tomorrow we have 4 new company members joining us. So over the last 3 weeks, we've been rehearsing them in studios, rehearsing them on stage, getting them ready, having rehearsals with just costumes and sets, and they're super psyched, and they go in the next couple of days. So that has been my joy, is to have teached a lot of people, and luckily, especially recently, helped a lot of people make their Broadway debut. So that's been really, really cool.
That's super cool. Can you elaborate a little bit more about the rehearsal process for swings, and also just, in general, what that's like the first time you get the call until the first time you're on stage? How long is that in between?
Yeah, it's a little different for every show, and it depends on, for us, if you're joining the show as an ensemble member, you get 2 weeks of rehearsal and then you're in.
Wow.
If you're a swing, you normally get 4 weeks of rehearsal to learn as many tracks as you can. And then once you're in the show, or once you're fully active as a swing, you'll learn the rest of the tracks as you're in performance, basically. Mm-hmm. So like I have Michelle knows Brian Dillon just joined us, and he is going on, he's a swing, and he's going on for one of the tracks in the next couple of weeks. So we taught him that track, he nailed it. And now that he's nailed it, he reviews it during the day, and at night, I'm teaching him new ones. So his brain's exploding, but he's amazing. So it's really impossible to teach someone 12 at once, because once you're in the show and you have a sense of how it works being in it, it's like a puzzle. Everything starts to unlock with all the other ones. And that's one of my favorite things is like, I go on for one person and then someone asks me like, where's so-and-so? And I'm like, well, when I'm on for this guy, he's always over there. Yep. So you like start to like kind of connect all the dots, and it's really just one big musical theater nerd puzzle. And it's really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Michelle, do you have anything to add to that, or no?
No, I was just going to say that's the same thing in Tina Turner Land. ICATs, they kind of travel together. So once you know one ICAT, you kind of know all of the ICATs. They travel. It's like it might be one time where one exits stage left, but that's about it. And then you get back to stage right and you travel again with the ICAT. So it's like once it is one big puzzle piece, and it starts to unlock. And that's the beautiful thing about it. It's just, oh, when I'm on for this track, I know that this track follows me. When I'm on for this track, I know that this track is over there. So it's just, it all kind of fits together, and it just becomes this beautiful thing that you just know where everybody is.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to back up a little bit and just talk about, how did you guys start off? Was it what inspired you when you were children, or maybe college or adults? Like how did this world of musical theater come to fruition for you both? Whoever would like to start is welcome to.
Yeah, I can go for it. So I have really awesome parents. I will say my parents are incredible, and their kind of deal with me and my siblings was like, you have to try everything once. You have to complete a season of every sport until you find the one that you're like, that's my thing. I'm going to stick with this one. So I played every sport. I did all of that. And my mom one day like saw an ad in a newspaper for tap classes, and she was like, Michael, you haven't done this one yet. You want to try it? And I was like, sure. And I think I literally left like a month later, and I was like, Mama, this is my thing. I think I found my thing. And she's like, are you sure? This of all of them? I was like, yeah, I think this is my thing. And then I was lucky enough to have a performing arts high school in Louisville with that I ended up getting into, and I had an incredible teacher there who I kind of became my mentor, and I followed, and that's really what's like kind of set me on the path. And once I went to Elon, I just kind of continued rolling on that path until coming to the city. Yeah. And for me, I guess I saw Billy Elliot when I was in high school, like the original London cast of Billy Elliot. Wow. And I like cried for 2 hours because I was like, this is my life. And that was the moment I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. Like, this is it.
So you knew from Billy Elliot, this is it.
This is it. Tap dancing dresses. Like, you can't, how can you not?
I guarantee you're not the only one though that is it.
Yes.
And Michelle, how about for you? What was that like?
So I have been dancing since I've been 2 years old. My mom put me in dance because she said when I was born, I was born with my leg over my head. I was already very flexible. So she was like, we got to put her in dance. So I've been dancing for a very long time. And when it wasn't until high school that I was exposed to musical theater. And then I did musical theater in high school, which was great. We had one of the best musical theater programs in Delaware at the time, and it was the cool thing to do musical in my school. Like, it wasn't like I didn't go to an arts high school, but everybody did the musical. The football players, the basketball players, everybody in the school, everybody wanted to be in the musical. We had all the musicals. So it was just a good time. Like, it was a good environment, and I really loved that environment. So I always knew that I wanted to go to college to be a performer, but I didn't necessarily know that it was going to be for musical theater. So I went to Temple University, got my BFA in dance performance. And when I was there at Temple, I was studying modern dance, and ballet. So I really wasn't exposed to musical theater in college at all. I kind of snuck into some musical theater classes in college to like kind of get that experience back. And it wasn't until my junior year that I was like, you know what? I think I'm done with modern dance. And my modern dance teachers were like, no. But they agreed with me, because I always would get the critique that, Michelle, you just go so hard on all your dancing. Like, you are just a powerhouse. You just go so hard. I don't think that your style of dance matches with modern dance. And I was like, fine, that's okay with me. I'm ready to be done anyway. So, but they were like, Michelle, please, whatever you do, don't change your major. Like, you're going to make your time here longer, and we don't want to do that. You can graduate with a degree in dance and still be a musical theater performer. So just stick with the degree, finish out your 4 years, and then start auditioning. And I was like, great. Best advice I've ever gotten from my teachers, especially from teachers who have no idea what musical theater is. They're modern land. And I appreciate all my teachers at Temple. And then right after I graduated, I started to try to dip my toe in the musical theater realm. I performed in my first, I guess you could say, musical theater show. It really wasn't, but it was kind of in my senior year of college. And I was around a lot of musical theater people that were auditioning in the city, knew how it worked, knew how to get your headshots, knew how to perform. I was asking so many questions to all of those people, and that's how I dipped my toe in. I was in Philadelphia. I knew I could take a bus right to New York City. It wasn't far. I would go to New York City. I would go to auditions, and I literally I just dove in. And in 3 months, I got my first job, and I've been performing and working ever since. So it was more, I feel like that's all the time when I get that question about, what do you do to start? How did you get started? I literally just dove in. I literally just took a chance. I went to the city. I started auditioning, and I just believed in myself that I could do this full time, especially when I was in the room with the people and I saw my energy and how my energy matched the people that were auditioning. I was like, I can do this. If I know that these girls are working, I can work too. And I just kept putting my foot in, diving in, going to auditions, and I got seen, and now I'm on Broadway. So,
I mean, like I that's exactly what I think people are afraid to do, that you have to do, is like, you can't be afraid of the hustle here. Like, you gotta go. Like, you gotta, like, I mean, Michelle and I started in the city at the same time, and like, we went to 3 auditions a day and got told no on all of them, and we were like, great, out, let's tomorrow, same thing. And like, you just kind of have to, it's a really hard mental game. I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it and pretend like it's not always hard to be told no a lot, but that's what it is. You just kind of have to like, kind of like blinders on and like just do your thing until somebody is like, hey, and like takes a double look, and then you're like, yeah, okay, let's go. Like, yeah, exactly.
And I'm glad you both brought that up, because I was going to ask that question. I think that is really important. I'm not necessarily a performer, but I don't know how directors necessarily get jobs, and it's all of the advice I've been given is just to network, talk to people, just go out and put your stuff out there and see what happens. And I think that is really important for people to hear, regardless if they're theater majors, dance majors, not in any of those majors, maybe they're writers. but just about getting their work out there. So I really do appreciate you both mentioning that and bringing that up.
Absolutely. Even after going to those auditions and you're in front of those casting directors, those same casting directors are in every single room. So if they see you and they're like, oh my gosh, we see the work that you do, it might not be for this show, but it might be for some other show. And eventually those people are going to see your work ethic that you put in the room. And then those casting directors are going to start suggesting you to other people, suggesting you to theaters, bringing you in more into the room. I haven't auditioned for a show in the past 5 years. Blessed be the name of the Lord. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, but like at the end of the day, like it's because of the effort that I put in my jobs and the effort that I put in the room. So once I get into the room, it's like people are now the work is starting to be done for me. And I'm like very grateful for that. But shoot, me and Callahan put in 10 years of work, 10 years of work. So it pays off at the end, but you got to be able to put your foot in and do the hustle. And, you know, sometimes when I hear people who are just like, I'm not ready yet, I'm like, well, yeah, time is wasted.
Yeah.
How much longer are you going to wait? Because this is what we got to do, you know? So.
Well, that also is a good segue. I'm lucky enough to have seen both Tina and Aladdin. I saw Aladdin in Los Angeles when I was
nice.
That was us.
You saw us.
So I've seen you both perform then, and then I saw Tina on Broadway 2 years ago, I think.
Nice.
So, and then my mom saw Tina, the original production in London.
In the UK, yes.
So I'm familiar with both of your works and, you know, the lives of these shows. I mean, seeing that cave come out for the first time in Aladdin was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then watching the bed spin in Tina, I think about that all the time. So, you know, what is your favorite part about working on these two shows? They're very iconic for different reasons. But, you know, if there was one thing that you're like, wow, this is really special to this production, what would that be?
For me with Aladdin, I think, you know, I grew up with the animated feature. So it obviously has a lot of nostalgia for me as a children's show. Mm-hmm. What I love about the musical is I feel like Casey has done an amazing job of making it both meet the nostalgia that I had, but also bring it to current times and kind of make it a show that a 4-year-old can come and enjoy and a 60-year-old can come and enjoy. And, you know, that's the hard thing with musical theater. It's like, how do you make it something that as many people can access appropriately as possible? Mm-hmm. And that's the hard thing that Disney has to deal with, right? Because you don't want to come see a kid's show necessarily, and you don't want to come see a show called Aladdin that you can't take your 4-year-old to. So it's a really hard balance. And I actually think they have done a beautiful job of finding that balance in the show and making it timeless, like for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say I also saw Cinderella, and I actually think that's true of Cinderella as well. So yes. I want to throw that out there.
Especially the Rodgers and Hammerstein version.
I mean, so good.
So beautiful.
So good. And Michelle, what about for you?
Tina, when I went to go see Tina for the first time, when I saw it in 2019, I manifested this show. If you know me and you know my work, you know that this show is perfect for me. This show was meant to be. So I remember being in the audience and I was like, this is going to be my Broadway debut. And the thing that I love about the show so much is that it's just a good show. It never gets old. The music is timeless. The story is just something that can be so relatable. I wouldn't say that my show is more so of a children's show, so to speak. Definitely not. I mean, you dare it if you go to, you know, bring your kids to whatever you want to, but like this one goes to a little bit of another level. And it just shows the beauty of a woman who just worked her tail off to be able to get to where she is and to make a name for herself. And I just love the story, and it resonates with me as far as the performance. And it's just nothing better than watching those fierce Ikettes on the stage just killing it in the back, like with Tina. Like, it's just, her story is just amazing, and I love telling the story. And there's a shows that I see that I'm like, oh, I can see that one time. There's been shows that I'm like, oh, okay, I did that. But Tina, I'm just like, I just love this show so much. I like doing it every single day. And I know that might seem a little cliche, but I really, really do. I really love performing the show every single day, and I don't get tired of it. So yeah, that's what I like about it the most. It's beautiful when you love your job. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You're not just going in and just doing it. But I actually really love the show.
And I will add to just like Tina, when I saw it, there was something really special about just like the audience getting up and singing along at the end of the show that I had never experienced before.
Yep.
In a Broadway setting. So that was really interesting to see how, a concert and musical theater sort of jive together. That was something that was really special to experience, because I'm also interested in, concert production and that sort of thing. So
cool. Yeah. We have a full-on party at the end of the show.
Yeah. Okay. I would be remiss to not ask this question, just because I think it is a really salient question of just like the time period and, what it means for performers and creatives to be working during a pandemic. And so what opportunities have arisen or disappeared because of the pandemic? How has your perspective shows handled the pandemic? I know that's kind of like a damper question, but it is really important.
No, I looked up because I'm thinking like, how do I answer that without taking up the rest of the 30 minutes?
I mean, that's the answer. Callahan been working the whole pandemic. I'm gonna just say all that, okay?
Okay, so hold on. Will you give me the first part of that question was what opportunities have like come and gone because of it?
Yeah, or like changed. I think it's up to interpretation. How you interpret that question. It is a little wordy.
Off the top of my head, the audition game is very different right now. It's a world I still don't fully understand. I'm very thankful to have a job at the moment, because I am just now looking at like what auditions are through a virtual space before you're in person. And I've run a couple auditions in person, and it's just it's all exactly the same and totally different. Like what used to be the collective energy of having like 30 people in a room dancing your faces off, cheering each other on, is now 6 people in a room dancing together. And that group like energy that, Michelle and I were talking about from pre-pandemic times is confined for sure. Like it's just a smaller energy. And that's a hard thing, because like, when I get in a room and I'm auditioning, like I want to be there with the 30 best, and I want to see them killing it, and I want to sweat my butt off, and like, and right now you kind of feel like there's a hesitancy about auditioning right now that I have to actively fight. On the other side of that, the being in a show right now has been I mean, everyone watching is somehow in the theater world, correct? There's a community in the theater world. When you're working on a show, when you're working on any project, that is so cool. And it's like little like families that you build in these little projects. And right now, like when I'm backstage, if I'm not on stage, I am in a part of the theater, isolated with other people, masked. And so like when I go to work, when I would normally like, say hey to everybody and like, shake hands, like, walk around other dressing rooms, be like, what's up? How you? That culture is right now, for all of our safety, not happening as much, which I of course completely agree with. And I'm happy we're doing that. So like, that's a weird thing, right? To be like, oh, Michelle's at work today. I didn't know, because I haven't seen her till we were on stage in this scene. That's really bizarre. It's a bizarre environment to be in. But we're doing whatever we can so that we can work and so that the audience can have their experience. And I'm very proud to say that we're doing it and keeping people as safe as we can. And if we are ever worried we can't keep people safe, the show closes for a couple days and we come back. you know, I don't know how sustainable that is for how long, but right now we are making it work. But yeah, it's a weird time. It's a weird time.
And Michelle, for you as well.
Absolutely. You know, with the times and what we're dealing with right now, whenever kids or students ask me that question about, you know, oh, well, you had the opportunity to go to an audition. Right now I'm virtual, you know, it's different. I'm like, yep, absolutely. And you should be submitting for everything that you see. That's great. And this is what the time is. And I'm just a person that feels as though that I will adjust with the times as fast as they move. And I'm not that person that kind of lives in what's happening, but I'm always like just thinking forward of what's going to happen and how I'm going to set myself up for success. And that's just my personality. So during the pandemic, for me, was I auditioning? Yes, I was, but I also was building this fitness business at the same time. So I feel as though that a pandemic brought upon another passion of mine, and to be able to do two passions at the same time is just been such a blessing in my life. So it might have not been. I try to think to performers that if you're finding something else that's sustainable and something that you believe is, you know, beautiful to you and you love that, like, embrace that. I think that's really cool. I think everybody went through something different during the pandemic, and this is what I found through the pandemic for me, and it might be something different for you, and it doesn't necessarily have to be performing, you know. But for I would say the young artists, like I said, me and Callahan have been working 10 years in this business, but for the young artists, younger artists, I would say that, you know, still, you know, get yourself out there, still audition as much as possible, submit yourself, use your resources that are out there. If people say you can ask questions, ask the questions. But just realize that we do have to adjust with the times to make sure that everybody is safe and making sure that things are, you know, going well. You know, I do think that there is a time that there will be a time, it might not be now, but there will be a time where we will get through this. Maybe that's just my optimist, you know, attitude, but I feel like we're moving to that point where we are going to get through this. We will be back in the rooms and stuff like that. It's just going to take some time. So just take that time, discover, you know, this new world that we live in. It's not changing. So we got to get used to it. And let's see, how do we, you know, progress forward in that.
Yeah. I think we live in a world where multi-hyphenate is how you survive in this business now. I think there's this old saying of like, if you can imagine yourself doing anything but theater, you should do that instead. And I call bull on that. Like, no, like you can be an amazing fitness person and a performer. Like you can be a choreographer and a performer. And I was a barista during the closing, and I loved it. I've always wanted to learn how to be a barista. But so like that was like one of my things. I think we need to embrace the multi-hyphen for everyone, whatever that is for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think that's so interesting because a lot of the people I've talked to already sort of think about themselves in those sort of realms of, you know, I'm this, and this. I'm not either or.
Right.
And okay. And I think of myself even that way. I you know, I never want to be stopped because I didn't learn with the times. And I think what's great about the young generation, not the young generation, this generation, because you guys are young, is that we've had to learn how to do everything on Zoom and live our lives like this. And I think we're all tired of it. But I don't know. I kind of like that we're able to have this sort of back and forth balance and getting better at this medium, because I think it'll only make in person better in some respects. Like the way this medium could grow into something, you know, more complex and involving film more. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, but I think that there is a lot of room for growth that we also often overlook. So I appreciate you both saying keep going and don't allow yourself to fall backwards because you're afraid of what's happening in the world.
and allow your multiple hobbies to influence each other. Like I'm, you know, I'm a huge anime geek, and it inspires so much of the dance that I think of in my brain, just in the way that those like animations move and stuff. And that's just one of my things that I kind of like draw from. Huge superhero nerd too. Like I dance like an X-Men. Like that's just like how I that's like where I live.
And a plug for Callahan is that when we were on tour, even though he was dance captaining and swinging, guess what? He was creating, and he would gather the Aladdin people to be like, hey, does anybody want to come into a studio and can I put some work on your body? Can I just see what it looks like? So if you're already actively doing that, you know what I mean, then that's only just going to be, help you in the future. Because now look, he got a bunch of rap that he can be able to pull from. I feel like that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like that's, I'm running a business. I have clients on the side. People see what I do. They're like, oh my gosh, you're changing the way that I think about how I used to work out as a dancer. And now it's like, I'm using this space to teach dancers how to do this differently. You know what I mean? So it's like, it both kind of works together. It works together with his space and what I'm doing too. So it's like, yeah, you use your time and use your resources the way that, would benefit you.
Yeah. And I checked out your website. I'm gonna have to do one of those workouts.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Just so you didn't think I didn't look. I totally did look.
Subscribe to my YouTube channel, y'all. Subscribe.
Before we move on, I'm just gonna ask audience members, if anybody who's watching, please feel free to like leave comments or questions that you have for Michelle and Michael. I don't want to dominate fully the question asking. So if you guys have stuff that you would like to know that I haven't yet asked, please feel free to drop those in the comments. I want to ask you guys just like a fun question. What is one of your favorite memories, like on stage, or a favorite performance? A funny story, just something, lighthearted or goofy. I don't know.
You want to know what, Michelle? The one I tell is about you.
I was about to say, I feel like it's going to be me because it's an Aladdin thing and it works. So I got 2 Aladdin stories, actually.
Okay. Can I tell the
Yes.
lights out?
Yes. Oh, so that's one of them.
Yeah. So there's this amazing moment in Friend Like Me and Aladdin. We were in Chicago, like 2 months into our run, I guess. And there's this amazing, I can't tell you how it works, but it's a magic box moment where Aladdin disappears into the box, and magically we open up the box from every angle, and Michelle pops out, no Aladdin.
Okay.
Well, cut to Michelle does have to like be
present
in this box to make the magic trick work. And she presets into it backstage. We're running this number. It's just like, moves like a train. And we have a citywide blackout. And completely blacked out the entire city. The show stops. Everything is dark. And, everyone like grabs their phones, turns it on. We're all like walking around. We all like get together, be like, what's going on? When's it going to come back on? Everyone's like checking on everyone. And then somebody goes, where's Michelle? And they had loaded her in that box. And what was it, Michelle? Like 10 minutes? They had you.
Yeah, I was just sitting there.
They had forgotten about her.
And I was like, someone please help me.
Oh
no. And thankfully she's totally fine, which is why it's a funny story. But man, I always think about that. We were like, oh gosh, where's Michelle? It was like that. I always think of it like Kevin from Home Alone.
I'm just in the middle of on the stage in the blackout, just sitting there.
Just sitting there.
And I was like, and everybody's like, well, why didn't you just get out? And I was like, because I was going to ruin it. I couldn't just get out.
Stage?
I was on stage.
Yeah.
Oh.
The blackout happened and the curtain wasn't in. And I was like, well, I got to stay here. Someone will get me.
That's a real performer, though. You didn't want to ruin the trick.
That was my big moment.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
my
that's so
God.
scary.
Oh my goodness. This is, it's the things that happen in the show. My other thing was definitely Aladdin. I haven't had a Tina, maybe I have, but I haven't had like a crazy Tina moment. But I remember in Aladdin, one time when we were in the beginning of the show, the women get rolled out of carpets. Unless you look and you realize the carpet, what they're doing, you're like, oh my gosh, how did these girls just pop up out of nowhere?
Mhm.
But you have to preset in the carpet. And I remember being preset in the carpet, and I'm right next to a building. And one time they had called the buildings too early, and all of a sudden the building starts to push me, and the guy and everyone's like, oh my God. Oh my God, Michelle's gonna get run over by the building. But it was literally just, if this was me and this was the building, it was just like,
Mm.
and I was when I was in the carpet, and I was just like, why am I moving? And then I thought, it was Jason who
Yes.
pushed me.
Yeah.
It was Jason. And I was like, well, Jason, why are you pushing me? It's not the time to go yet. And I was like, what is pushing me? But I didn't know on the outside that it was a full building just sliding me across. So that was funny.
Oh.
And everybody's like, Michelle's gonna get crumbled.
So Michelle seems to be the through line here with these stories is Michelle getting trapped in something.
Yeah. She's got 9 lives and 7 of them are left. So.
Pretty much. There's levels to that, because it's either, for me, I guess I have extreme good luck and extreme bad luck. Because when I was on tour with Aladdin, I won a car on The Price is Right. So I won a car on The Price is Right. So that's extreme good luck. Or I get stuck in a box in the middle of the show in a blackout, and that's an extreme bad luck. So it just goes. It's just levels with me.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. I'm still, once again, please feel free to put any questions in the chat to people watching. In the meantime, beyond Aladdin or Tina, is there a favorite role you've played, or a role that you'd really like to play?
Yeah, I mean, the role that it's funny because I always take this as shows I would love to choreograph, not necessarily roles I'd love to play, because I'm kind of moving out of that performer world.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to choreograph Kiss Me Kate. I like a lot of the really old school stuff. Eventually I'd love to like choreograph a production of Guys and Dolls. That's like exactly how I move, is that like classic jazz style. I mean, if I were to say a role, like I've always wanted to play Finch in How to Succeed. But I would like to do it in a version of the show where they mess with it a little bit, because it's a little bit dated now. So yeah, that would be my answer for that one.
I like it. What about you, Michelle?
I'm just in this mode where I just want to have a blast on stage. If I'm going to perform, I just want to have a good time. That's where I'm at. So right now I would like to play Brooke in Legally Blonde, because it kind of just works with my fitness life and playing that role. And I freaking love Legally Blonde. Like when I saw Legally Blonde for the first time, I was like, I'm going to do that for the rest of my life. That was like his what did you say? Dilly Elliott was my Legally Blonde, basically. And so I would love to play Brooke in that, and also just like, dip my toe in Principal World for a second, and I would just like to do Rock of Ages.
Really? Oh,
I just like that show. I just think it's so cute and clever and fun. And I would just love to be on stage and just, whipping around the stripper pole. Why not?
Yeah.
Let's have a good time.
Yeah. That sounds like fun to me too. I like both of those answers a lot. And I'm curious about this crossing over into other medium, or excuse me, I should say not mediums, but just like crossing into other realms of performance and like choreography. Would you guys ever experiment with like TV and film? Has that something that's been interesting to you? Or are you mainly like, I want to be on stage in front of an audience, sort of? Or making
I would love to. I just, to be honest, I because I've had so much momentum in the live theater industry since I graduated college, very lucky to say that that's been my thing. I've just kind of been riding with it, like just riding that momentum as best I can. I also think that, I think it's important. I would want to take some classes and get some my feet kind of like grounded in on camera work before I were to jump into it, and I just haven't had a chance to do that. I did learn during the pandemic, and I experimented a lot with, because it was a great education for me, that viewing dance through the medium of film is something I'm not good at yet, and I loved learning that, because I was like, oh. So I like hung out with some like videographer friends, and I was like, how talk to me about how we do this. Like, what do you see versus what I'm seeing? And a couple friends of both me and Michelle, know both of them, were like, this is what you're doing is this, and like really helping me like kind of shift my mindset. And that's something I still want to experiment with. And that, I guess, is one of the great things that came out of the pandemic, because I choreographed a lot of pieces that I was like, okay, so this part worked, and this part, in my opinion, did not. And that's cool. What do I lose? It's the pandemic. Nothing's going on. So I would like to, but I am actively learning how to do it better. Yeah.
If I had an opportunity to do TV film, great. But I also feel the same way as Michael. Like, my theater life has kind of been like my main thing. So I'm kind of like riding along with that. And it's been great. And I mean, I did a commercial, my first commercial over the pandemic, actually, I think. Yeah, so that was cool. So I don't know, I don't really see myself as a TV film girl, like being an actor on a TV film, but like if I could just, grab a little bag on the Target commercial and just be like, I feel like that would be my personality anyway. So I'm just like, hey, I'll pose in a cute little outfit.
You gotta do one of those like old school Old Navy dance commercials.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, just a bot. Just do a quick bot. I love that. So that's kind of what it was. The commercial that I did was just like a beer commercial. I did a cartwheel into a split and I held up the beer, and that was pretty much it. So I was like, oh, okay, that was cute. So if I could do more stuff like that, that would be cool. But also I don't have any like experience in that world. Most of my experience is in theater and in dance. So yeah, but if it's opportunity, sure.
Yeah.
I
asked that.
Go ahead, Madison. Go.
No. You.
With these, like, I think what's interesting about these questions, like, what roles do you want to play? Like, do you want to get into this part of the industry? I think what I have always found, and with the friends of mine who I've found who have been very successful, is that a lot of the way you set up your goals helps. The way that you think about what your ultimate goal is really sets you up for success or sets you up for failure. I've always found that people who are like so fixated on playing one role don't see all the other roles that they're being offered or that they could be right for.
Yeah.
Like, my like mantra is that I always want to work, and I leave it just there. My goal is just to not stop working. And if that means that what that looks like one day is so different from the next, that's cool. And I have like ultimate, hopefully long-term choreography goals, but like I actually don't think about them very often. I'm more like, how do I continue to work today? Like, what is the next step to work today? Because I feel like sometimes, especially with a culture right now that it can be so zero to famous, we set ourselves up to fail because we set goals that are only achievable through that. And not through like, I took a dance class today. That was my work for today. Today I auditioned for something I'm not right for, just to see if that was in the cards. And like, it's really about setting your mindset in a way that is feasible and not always feel so out of reach. Little successes get you farther than that, I think, than always shooting and missing for a huge one.
Yeah.
I don't know, Michelle, what do you think about it? Like,
I completely agree. I've always been that type of person too. That's just like, I just want to work.
Yeah.
I just, and maybe that is because I was actually talking to a friend about this, and she was like, I don't know where my career is going to go in musical theater. And maybe it's, thinking about more principal work and stuff like that. And people around me are just like, well, if you're going to be the alternate, then you're not nothing because you're the alternate. I was like, huh? I was like, the people in my world are like, you made it on Broadway. That sounds great. You're dancing professionally. That sounds great. Like, I don't have those influences in my life. Like, I just never did. And maybe it's because I don't come from that musical theater background or musical theater world that I just don't like the fact that I'm even dancing on Broadway is just huge to all the people that I've ever danced with ever. So, and I just want to continue to work, and I want to be but I guess my whole thing now is this, I probably, because I put in the time, I don't want to be in environments that I don't feel welcomed in those environments. I want to be in environments that I feel that I want to be a part of this. Like Tina, I want to do this show every day. There's no other really show on Broadway that I really want to be a part of. Like Tina is the show. You know, if Aladdin calls me to come back over there, I had a great time on tour. Shoot, I had a great time. If they called me to come back and they just wanted me to fill in for a few weeks, I'll do Aladdin again.
I'll let them know.
Let them know, hey, Brian. But you know, so you know, I'll fill in. But like, I just want to work. I just want to work long term. I feel the same exact way as Callahan. I really don't set the sights to be like, I need to be this, I need to be that. I'm like, as long as I'm in rooms and people like me and people like my work and I do well in my work, that's all that matters to me.
Yes.
I think that is maybe the most important piece of advice. I think just in general, because I think we often all talk about like, well, this is what I want to be in 10 years, or this is what I want to be in 20 years, or, you know, this is my long-term goal. But talking about short-term goals and realistic goals, I think as well. I think it is unrealistic a little bit to say like, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'll be the president of the United States.
Right.
I'm only 21 years old and you have to be 35 to be the president. Right. And so I really appreciate both of you saying that and telling young people, especially people my age, because there is this sort of fear that I can speak to personally about, you know, am I making the right decision by majoring in theater and doing this as my career goal? Like, will this pay off one day? But I'm also the kind of person that takes everything that comes my way, and I'm working on 4 shows this semester.
Yes.
We'll see what happens. I'm gonna be tired. Hey,
get it.
It'll be fun.
Absolutely. So, and all of the stuff that I've done in my career have led me to the point where I'm at today. So like, you know, yes, Broadway was my goal. Yes, I made it. But guess what? I had a great time at Oslo Rep when I worked with Michael Callahan for the first time. I had a great time at Sacramento Music Circus when I worked there. I had a great time at the Alliance Theater when I worked there, when I worked with Casey Nicolon for the first time. I had a great time at all of these theaters. I've been putting myself and immersed myself into things that I have enjoyed, which have gotten me to this point. And if on that road, I'm just like, okay, this I didn't really enjoy that much. Guess what? I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. So.
Yeah. I mean, I also like, you know, I have like a million little mantras and things that I like tell myself, but like jumping off of Michelle's, it's about surrounding yourself with people you like, but who keep it real with you at the same time. Like, I don't want to be around people who are blowing me up and not telling me what's really going on. Like, you know, and there's a lot of that in our industry. There's in any entertainment when you're in front of people industry, and it is appropriate, I think, to an extent.
Yep.
But, you know, I have my fierce 5 who, when I ask, is this good or is this bad? They will tell me, and that's who I ask that to. And anybody else's opinion I don't really care about, but I got my fierce 5, and they're the ones I'm like, and they'll keep it real with me. And I'm, you know, those are the people I want to be around. Those are the people I want to work with.
Yeah.
And they're the people that I know I can appropriately be honest with too about. Like, I was like, that I think you can do that better. I think you can do that better.
Yeah. Having a village is extremely important.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I know that I've only become better by surrounding myself with people who have made me better. So yes. Okay. We have 1 minute left. Is there I can ask a closing question, but I would love if there's anything else you guys would like to say before we close out. Any last pieces of advice or just like things you're looking forward to, or something that you're excited to do this weekend. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be performance related, but, you know, just last closing things that you guys would like to leave us with.
I'm actually getting ready to go on my weekly date night with my boyfriend.
Get it!
Because we have both been,
that look real cute. Where you going?
it's like a floating head. But the lesson from that though is that like I am so lucky to say that my personal life is more important than my career, and but also uplifts my career at the same time. So that is what I'm doing tonight. We're going out to dinner.
Get it.
But
yeah, I was looking forward to this day off, to be honest.
Yes.
I feel like the day off is always just good for me because one, I was on all week. And hopefully our cast members will come back nice and healthy on Tuesday, but that's the job. So for the swings, I just told them like, take the day and we got y'all. So it was like, I was on for 5 shows. I was very thankful for this day off. It's always nice when I have the time to be able to have my personal life. So get up, go to the gym, fix my meal preps for the week so I can have that situated, sit down, focus on my business a little bit, talk to my clients. So, and also have time to spend with my husband. So it's just nice to be able to do those things. So my days off, I do really look forward to, because it's time for me to be able to like come back to myself and like do my thing, because swing life and dance captain, like we at the theater all the time and all day.
Yeah.
We're always at the theater. So it's just nice to like have that time to be able to just like live your personal life and kind of just, get away from that for like a couple of hours. And then tomorrow we right back to work.
Yeah.
There we go. Work-life balance, everybody.
That's great.
I would love to thank you both, Michael and Michelle. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was really great. You two are wonderful people, and we are so lucky to have had this hour with you both. Please feel free to check them out on Instagram. I wrote down your Instagram names, MKR Callahan and Chelly West. Check them out, see what they're up to. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night, all right?
Thank you. And good luck to you. You last semester, Madison?
Yes, last semester.
Hey.
Friends. Yes.
Thank you.
Let's go. Good job.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right,
Thanks for having us. We appreciate y'all.
Thank you
So much.